What is your purpose? And how can you get there? Many of us look for answers from external factors when the answer lies deep within us. You are the change that you seek. You are the dream that you desire. You are your largest obstacle. You are the reason for your success and your failures. Are you ready to dive into your passion and unlock your potential? If you are, then join me in my podcast where I hope to motivate and add some value to your life. Stay motivated, motivator, and thanks for listening. On the podcast, what's going on, guys? Your bearded egghead, Hector Navarro here, and I am going to let my next guest introduce themselves. Go ahead and give me an origin story of where you're from, Rahkim.
All right, so my name is Rahkim Sabree. I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. So I guess the reason why I'm here today is to talk about my passions, which include mentorship and financial literacy. And,
Okay.
you know, my origins really lead into those passions. So I grew up very poor, and I tell this story all the time. We had Section 8 housing and food stamps, and there was a point in time in my life that I aspired to get that. And I remember working in a supermarket as I was growing up and seeing people pay for their groceries with credit cards and debit cards and cash.
Right.
And it's like, how can people afford to pay for their groceries without food stamps?
So true.
So that was eye-opening for me, and I realized at that point, you know, that I was poor and that I wanted to do something about it.
How old were you around the time you realized this?
Well, I knew that I was poor growing up, but this moment probably occurred in my early 20s. I want to say anywhere between 19 and 21.
Okay.
When I was in the supermarkets. And I moved from New York to Texas, and then from Texas to Connecticut. And I found the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that kind of set me on my...
Great book.
It is a great book. That I tell anybody that's the number one book that changed my life. So that set me on a path towards financial literacy and being passionate about financial literacy. I also work in financial services for the last 7 years, so gain a lot of knowledge just kind of watching how people manage their own finances, advising people on how to manage their finances better,
Right.
With regards to products, and just a lot of self-education around financial literacy. So I purchased my first home at 26.
Wow.
Yeah, and thank you.
That's awesome.
And it was an eye-opening experience for me, or kind of a, I guess, coming-of-age experience for me, because as a child I didn't think it was possible to purchase a home under 30 on my own.
Right. Kudos, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I want to share that blessing, I guess, with other people and help other people realize that, you know, it's something that you can do. You don't have to be a product of your circumstances forever.
So you realized that you were poor at 20, then from early 19, 20 to 26. Walk me through that process. Yeah. Like, I mean, how does it happen? Because there's a lot of people that just remain in that mentality and that mindset. You know, how did you overcome that?
So I can't take all credit. I've always been encouraged by my family, my support system, my parents especially, that anything that I want to achieve, I can achieve, and I've always believed that. I carry that into today. But I guess the missing piece is figuring out how to get to that point. And when I moved to Connecticut, I was surrounded by some great people, and all people who had not the same background that I did, who didn't understand the same kind of struggles that I was coming out of. But I saw that they had achieved it, and I was like, well, if they could do it, then I can do it.
Right.
So it really is, a testament to that whole thing. You know, you are who you spend your time with, and everybody that I was close to, that I, built a relationship with out here in Connecticut, had massive achievements, at least from my perspective. Houses, cars, great credit, great jobs, and I was just like, you know what, like, I want that. And so it was just watching them, watching how they behaved, and their thought processes, and incorporating them little bits at a time into my own practices.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now that you're in that position where you've achieved financial literacy and you've achieved that position where you were striving to, like,
what is it that you're doing now? What are some of the things that you're doing to be able to give back to the community and to be able to help out people with financial literacy?
So I speak on it pretty regularly through social media. On Fridays, I have a hashtag Financial Fridays.
Right, I saw that. Pretty dope.
Yeah.
Really dope. Really dope.
Just because it's so important. A lot of people just they don't understand the finance beast, as I like to refer to it, and that it really is a game. It's kind of a push and pull. It's definitely requiring some specialized knowledge, but it's not impossible. And so once you learn the rules of the game, you just kind of take the steps to play it. And I just think a lot of people are not proactive in going out to understand, what's involved in managing their finances, or what's involved in finance as a whole, from a credit perspective or a savings perspective, a budgeting perspective, spending perspective. So I try to, as much as I can, deliver free content to people around, some of the best practices that I've incorporated into my own life, or things that I advise other people on. I am building a brand around speaking. So financial literacy is one topic that I talk about, but also mentorship is another one that I'm pretty passionate about. And my audiences would be groups with institutions or organizations that identify a need and having a speaker speak on those topics.
What kind of groups? Like, what's kind of like a target audience? Do you work specifically with just teens or business owners, or how wide or how narrow is your
So
group?
the audience is as wide as the need is. So I can cater the content to the different demographics based off of what their need is. So if we're talking to younger children, I'm not going to talk about getting a credit card because they can't apply for credit.
Right.
But I may talk about, leading up to getting a credit card. How do you want to prepare? What your mindset will look like going into that? People who are in the business world, I might talk about, how to manage their 401k, or how to, be aware of what's out there in terms of retirement and retirement vehicles. Women, I've seen a lot of women who didn't have an income, and so they're relying on their spouse's income, but then their spouse passed away and now they don't know what to do. So that would be a target. Just anybody, and financial literacy is something that's universal. So it's not, I don't feel that I have to be kind of pigeonholed into one audience when I'm talking about that.
So true. So true. Now, what kind of advice do you give to any entrepreneurs that are seeking? Because you said one of your passions is mentorship,
Yes.
right? So you have all these entrepreneurs that have their regular 9-to-5 job, right? But they're looking at having this side hustle or this side business to be able to just pursue their passion.
Right.
What kind of advice do you give to those entrepreneurs where they have different type of expenses? Like, I'm a client of yours, or I'm somebody coming up to you and I'm asking you, hey bro, like I'm in a financial clutch, like I have to pay these bills, my mortgage is on time, there's some past due bills that are just coming, the kids need diapers, like that type of thing. What type of advice do you give people on a regular day basis that are in this type of situations?
So for entrepreneurs is a special demographic, and it's special to me too because I consider myself a hybrid entrepreneur. So like you said, you have the regular 9-to-5, and then you get home from work, and a lot of times you're tired, you don't want to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
And you're not really motivated to go after what you're passionate about. I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give to entrepreneurs is networking. 100%. Because with networking, you build relationships with people who open doors that maybe you didn't realize existed, or who can exchange services with you, so you're not spending money, so you're reducing expenses.
The cost.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
When you create that.
How so? Like, can you give me an example?
What we're doing.
Okay. Okay.
So we're having a conversation about finances, and I'm sharing my experiences and expertise, but you're also doing your blog, and we're exchanging energy here, but it's for consumption by the general audience. So I think that's an example where I don't think we're spending any money outside of the coffee that is what
Yes, right.
in this instance. So that's just one example, but I mean, on a larger scale, you might exchange services with someone who does credit counseling. If you're in a situation where, as an entrepreneur, you need credit to move forward, you need to secure lending, and the key to securing lending is good credit. Well, if you hook up with a credit counselor and your product offering or your services is something that they're interested in, they can give you advice or put you on an action plan that puts you in a better position while benefiting from what you offer. So I like to try to challenge people to think outside of the box in terms of what it is that they offer, what value they bring, and then finding out, how they can exchange that value with someone else around improving both of their situations. Second thing is not to get so hung up on funding. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they stop in their track because they're like, hey, you know what, I don't have the money for this. I can't invest in my business because I don't have the money for it.
So true.
And for me, I think, like I said, finance is a game. So using or building personal credit is going to lead to being able to leverage it in a business setting. But the funding is going to come. Like, you build the process, you build the program, and the funding is going to come. So just my advice to any entrepreneur out there who's worried about funding is don't figure out your plan first, because somebody's going to see your idea, they're going to see value in it, and they're going to provide a solution for you.
Awesome. Now, I know that you have a book out.
I do have a book.
That very, very awesome. Mentorship, the Playbook.
Mentorship, the Playbook. Yes.
Okay, now what inspired this? What is it that motivated you to be able to go out and publish a book?
So, mentorship is a second passion of mine, in addition to financial literacy, and that's just based off my own upbringing. So, you look at my peer group, my demographic, you look at a lot of the young kids now, and there is a dire need for mentorship in those demographics. But mentorship is universal, so you can take that into the workplace, you can take that into the home, you can take that into the community, any kind of sports team, any kind of anything. But my specific audience in this book is young men building relationships with older men who they would model their behavior after. And I tackle some issues as the society's view of masculinity and redefining masculinity from the perspective of acknowledging the young men in their entire being. So not forcing them to fit into this role or into this image, but saying, okay, this is what you bring to the table, this is who you are, let me expound on who you are instead of trying to change who you are.
Right.
So I talk about some personal experiences and stories throughout this book, different relationships that I've had, and I guess redefining what mentorship looks like, because a lot of times people think of a mentor-mentee relationship as someone being much older mentoring someone being much younger. What I tackle in this book is that your mentor could be somebody that's the same age as you, somebody that's younger than you, somebody who might be a year or two older than you, who has the same life experiences that you do, but has a great influence over your behavior or your thought process. And I think a lot of times we discount that. The influence that we have over our peers is going to be far greater than the influence that maybe someone older than we are will have over us. So at the end of every chapter, but the last in this book, there's a call to action that speaks to both the mentor population and the mentee population around how to maximize their relationship.
Awesome.
So it tells them, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, or be mindful of these things in building your relationship.
Right. So now I'm assuming, since you're writing a book on mentorship, that you've been in the position to either mentor or you have been someone's mentee. So let us know a little bit about the process of, or give us an example of you being mentored, and also another process of you being mentee, and how understanding both perspectives kind of helps you as a leader.
So yes, I've been both. I am both right now. I strive to maintain mentorship relationships on both ends, as a mentor and as a mentee, going forward, because it's enriching on both ends. I learn as much from my mentees as they probably learn from me. And of course, in a mentoring relationship, I learn from my mentor, absolutely, and how to navigate whatever the environment or the field that they're mentoring me in. So you asked for an example. One of my mentees, who I write about in this book, actually, he and I decided to tackle credit. It was around the time that I had really started to get aware of how to kind of manipulate credit and build credit and improve credit. And when we first decided to tackle it, his credit score was in the 500s. And he was just like, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. And, I said, trust me, it's going to take time. We're going to work on it. Just do what I say and how I say it, and we'll be all right. He calls me 2 weeks ago and tells me that he just got approved for an apartment that he was trying to apply for, and that the property management company gave him his credit score. It was in 720s, and they commented on how impressed they were with someone being so young having such a good credit score. So I think that's a testament to the trust that my mentee has in me, because he had to listen to what I had to say. He had to do what it is that I had instructed him.
And he applied it.
And that's important. But it was also enriching for me to be able to do that for somebody else, knowing where they came from. On the flip side, from a mentorship perspective, I like to apply mentorship, I think, in the workplace probably the most, because I've had the privilege of working with a lot of great leaders, and I share that leadership style with the people that I work with on a regular basis. So just learning how to talk to people, learning how to be firm but not like a dick, you know what I'm saying? Like engaging people and understanding what motivates them so that you can maximize their potential in that environment. It's one example, but it's a constant example because I see it every day. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now.
Okay, so now, me personally, I've been through the experience where I've gone through different mentors, right? And different seasons bring different type of learnings.
Absolutely.
So describe how you feel, or the process, and how you would navigate through the process of leaving one mentor in order to be mentored by somebody. Because sometimes what happens with teachers and mentors, that they cling on to you and they see what you're capable of doing, and sometimes you even surpass your mentors.
Absolutely. A lot of times.
Right, and that's supposed to be the goal, right? For a mentor to mentee somebody in order for them to surpass them. But at times the mentor gets overzealous and jealous, and it was like, hey, I put so much work into you, and you're over here getting bigger than me. How dare you? So how do you tactfully approach those type of situations?
As a mentee?
As a mentee, as a student.
So, as a part of the action items in the book, I talk about defining what the relationship looks like. And a lot of times, I think mentor-mentee relationships don't have that definition, so you either kind of just fall into it, or it's too formal, it's overly formal, so it's just like, okay, we have to have this cadence, and we have to do this, and we have to do that. And so breaking away from that, I think, can be difficult, because the individual might take it personally. I think as a mentor, you have to be comfortable with not taking it personal, and that's hard. That's a hard ask. I've been guilty of it myself, being overzealous and wanting success from my mentee in a way that they don't want success for themselves. And so you have to kind of balance what it is that your mentee wants and what it is that you want, and figuring out, okay, well, is it your responsibility or your charge to force them to see things from your perspective, or is it their responsibility to kind of acknowledge what you're providing and then take you up on that? But to answer your question specifically, you just got to do it. If it's necessary for you to cut ties, it's necessary for you to cut ties. If they can't separate themselves from that environment and taking it personally, well,
Tough
sorry,
break.
right?
Tough break, right.
I agree with you in terms of that season changing, and you take what you need as you need it, and you move on. I've had many mentors, and some stopped being effective at a different point in time in my life where you surpass them. I would consider my mom in some respects a mentor to me, and I remember the first time I approached her with an issue, and I go to my mom for everything, like
Cool.
everything.
Dope.
We have a great relationship, but I remember the first time I approached her on something that she didn't have any knowledge of, and I got frustrated because she couldn't support me in the way that I was looking for her to support me, and she got frustrated because she couldn't support me in the way that I was looking for her to support me, and we're sitting there both frustrated, and I'm just like, light bulb, I know more about this topic than she does, so I can't rely on her to give me feedback or guidance on this topic if it's not something that she's experienced. And so, that light bulb moment happens, I think, for a lot of mentees, and it should happen for a lot of mentees developing to a point where they surpass their mentor, and hopefully they've developed enough of a foundation in their relationship that they can continue to grow together so that you don't have to throw away the whole relationship.
Right. That is powerful. Because sometimes you just tend to throw away the relationship completely, and it's like, look, we can't mesh together. We can't work together. Like you're crowding me.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me what to do now. You're being a micromanager, and that's something that I've been dealing with lately as well. Like, how do you go from you have to see it my way because this is for the betterment of the organization or for the betterment of you personally, and the person is just like, no, I want to do it my own way. That's very interesting.
I mean, communication is the root of it, and if we're gonna speak in a specifically work environment, my manager at the end of every one-on-one that we have asks me, is there anything that I can be doing, any feedback that you have for me to grow, to improve our relationship? And I always let her know that, that's powerful, that she ends every one of our meetings that way, because she's letting me know that she's looking to grow based off of my feedback, but that she's also looking for ways to continue to support me. And if she can't, then, I feel that she's open to hearing me say that she can't. Right. Not everybody's like that, though.
No, that's a rare quality. That's a good leader right there. One that's open to listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Now, what are some of the goals, some of the inspirations that you have moving forward? You got this book.
I have this book.
You're marketing this book. You're pushing this book heavy. What is it that you hope to gain from this book, and what are some of your dreams moving forward, like you within the next 3 to 5 years type of thing?
So, interestingly enough, when I wrote this, I didn't plan on sharing it in the way that I am. I didn't even plan on crafting it the way that I did. I wanted to get words on a page and just share it. When I started writing the book, it was a pretty rough time in my life, and I was just like, you know what, I need to outlet. So the background, actually, and when I started writing this book, I went to Spain and Morocco. So I spent 7 days in each country.
Interesting.
And in that time I took to write, I went out there by myself, and that was the goal. And now that it's out there and people are reading it and giving me feedback, I'm getting requests to follow up.
Wow.
So I think I may end up writing another one or two. But my goal wasn't to turn a profit with this book. So specific to your question about dreams and goals, my goal is to just spread the message. So what this book has done for me is opened up opportunity for me to speak credibly on the topic of mentorship to audiences. So, we talked about the financial literacy earlier, but another and probably something that I feel a little bit more passionate about than financial literacy is being able to speak to mentorship, because now you're engaging minds, and once one mind is engaged, they can share that with somebody else, and it just spreads like a viral video. The problem that I'm facing, though, is that a lot of people don't like to read, specifically in the demographic that I wrote the book for. And I knew that going into it. So really challenging people to take, 2 hours, 3 hours, read the book. I wrote it very short on purpose because I knew that I wouldn't be able to catch and keep their attention for very long. But I want to go into schools. I want to go into churches, other institutions. I want to travel and speak on this topic. So that is my, I don't know if I would say 3 to 5 year plan, but definitely something that I want to execute on now.
You should go into Audible.
I thought about that. That's some feedback that I've gotten as well.
Because I could see that becoming really, really successful in the sound, the sound realm.
Yeah, it's
personally for me, like I love reading, but like with time, Like you say, a lot of people just don't have the time to either read. I see that Audible is a good way to be able to track all the time that you just do something while you're doing something else.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
So that's
awesome.
one thing. I recently started a nonprofit.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
It's called An Extended Hand Incorporated.
Okay. What do you guys do?
So it's CT based. The goal is to stop homelessness.
Wow, powerful.
And interestingly enough, 2 of the programs that are the foundations of this nonprofit are financial literacy education and mentorship. So I want to take this and create awareness around my own personal brand, but also build out the nonprofit, which is it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because
It's
you're looking for funding constantly. You're looking for a partnership. You're looking for support. So I'm actually a co-founder, and my responsibility is more along the lines of operations. But the founder is passionate about homelessness, and we got together and we just started throwing ideas around. I said, hey, you know what? Why don't we attack homelessness from a preventative perspective? So addressing at-risk youth with mentorship and financial literacy practices, prepare them for jobs in the workplace, prepare them how to live independently, but also address homelessness as an issue. So we see people standing out there who don't have access to services or who don't have access to a place to stay, and being able to provide services on that front. So right now, because we just started, we're community based, so we don't have anything, but we're building out the programs, we're building out all the legal structure.
Where are you guys based? Where in Connecticut?
Between New Britain and Middletown.
Okay.
So on paper it's New Britain,
Okay.
but he and I bounce back and forth between New Britain and Middletown. We do want to target Hartford as well. There's you're driving through, you see people on the ramps to the highways, looking for change.
Yeah.
So we want to within the first year, and we just incorporated like last month, within the first year we want to do a clothing drive. We want to hand out what we're referring to as home e-packs, so home-e-packs, and basically a small bag that has some essentials. So it's home essentials. That's what home essential pack. So like shower gel, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush, those kind of things, and then be able to connect with other organizations that focus on stopping homelessness, and being able to say, okay, let's broker out your services here. I find an individual standing on the corner. I get their information. We'll give them their information. We'll let them know what the closest hub is to a shelter or a soup kitchen.
Right.
So I've been a little bit quiet about it lately, just because I don't want to advertise it and not have anything to advertise.
Right.
But we just finished our website, which is always
Very cool.
improving, and we're out there networking now, making people know what we do and what we want to accomplish.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I did not know you had a nonprofit, bro.
I keep it quiet.
What? You should keep that quiet. You guys just incorporated, man.
Yeah.
So the next step is getting your 501c3.
Yep.
For
Which
the
is
IRS.
a process.
I just got mine. So
you have a nonprofit?
Yes, Brass City Gamers Tournament, and we raise funds for organizations that are struggling raising funds, and we do it through the means of video game tournaments.
Gotcha.
And we also provide free STEM learning opportunities to at-risk youth, middle school, high school.
So we would have a similar audience.
Yeah, right. So it's interesting. We definitely on the side got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's awesome. So you got a nonprofit. You're starting the website. Do you have a website for this book here?
I don't.
That you work? Are you going to start working on it?
I primarily advertise through Facebook and Instagram.
Got you.
Around my own personal brands. I am building a website. But I'm being slow about it deliberately, because I want social media is powerful.
So true.
And I want to leverage social media more so than just a standalone site.
Mm-hmm.
So the website is really going to be geared towards booking opportunities, so making people aware of where I'm at, when I'm going to be there, and giving them the opportunity to reach out to me and say, hey, we want you to speak at this event. So it's not really interactive. Social media is where it's at in terms of getting in contact with me, interacting with me, seeing what I'm sharing what I'm sharing, and those kind of things. So I'm more focused on definitely Facebook and Instagram right now.
Okay, those are your two biggest platforms
Those are my
right
two
now?
biggest platforms.
Okay, so where's the at where can they find you?
So on Instagram, it's Unlimited Investment Inquiries.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, it's Unlimited Investment Solutions.
Okay. Awesome. Now, how about your nonprofit?
The nonprofit has its own website.
Okay.
And that's aeh-ct.org.
Okay.
And then we're on LinkedIn and we're on Facebook as well. And we're on Instagram at An Extended Hand or at An Extended Hand Inc.
That's awesome. Now, if you had any type of advice for entrepreneurs out there, like as far as finances and how to look for you or look for your services other than online, like how do you want them to approach, how would you want other entrepreneurs to approach you that are looking for financial literacy opportunities?
Just approach me. I'm very approachable. Any way that I advertise getting in contact with me, I check regularly. So I have an email account. If it's private, it's Unlimited Investment Inquiries at gmail.com.
Perfect.
Facebook is good. Instagram is good. I hand out business cards regularly. But I'm very interested in doing hub groups with entrepreneurs and speaking on that topic. And like I said, exchanging services. It's been a vision of mine to get like-minded entrepreneurs together into a room and say, hey, okay, this is my opportunity, this is my struggle, how do I get over that? And let somebody who's experienced that and gotten over it share their best practices.
Right.
And just create, synergy around it. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. I love the idea of being an entrepreneur. I do not think that working a 9-to-5 is going to be the way to survive in the immediate future. You have to have multiple streams of income. You have to be able to control your destiny. And a lot of people get hung up on whether or not they could do it or what resources they have, and I'm just like, just do it. Just do it. And so I tell people who ask me frequently, well, how are you able to write a book? How are you able to start a nonprofit? How are you able to do this, and this, and have a job? And I'm like, I have the same hours in a day you do. I don't watch TV. I try to read in my free time, and I also split my time with, working out, going to the gym. I practice kung fu. So I try to stay true to me and centered and focused, but I don't waste time, and I don't let other people dictate my time. So I'm not interested in going out every weekend. I'm not interested in spending my money on partying and alcohol and those kind of things. I'm very focused, and that's the difference between success and failure. You take this time and you focus on what it is that you want to accomplish, and you do it.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
That's my soapbox speech.
That's awesome, bro. That's a hell of a soapbox. So 3 words of inspiration that you want to leave the audience with moving forward that they could take home and apply.
3 words.
I know it's kind of putting you on the spot.
Anything is possible. That's my 3 words. Anything is possible. And like I said, my parents were instrumental in making me believe that anything that I can think of, I can achieve. And I have taken it a step further in deciding that anything that I decide I want, I deserve.
Word.
And it's not anybody's responsibility to give that to me but my own.
Word. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Awesome.